Good morning and welcome to our Nigerian viewers and viewers across the world. This is the Morning Brief, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. Today, September the 10th, 2025, I am Kelly Egiga. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Kelly, and good morning to everyone, wherever you're watching us from. It's a brand new day. It's the week is already racing, midweek already. And there's a lot to check out on as far as what I call local and international happenings are concerned. And that's exactly where we'll start off from, because whatever happens around the globe affects us, especially what's playing out around the, what they call the Arabian Peninsula. So if you're familiar with that area, so you have the likes of Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, Qatar, and all of that, borders around the Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, Arabian Sea, somewhere the Red Sea is on the left bordering Africa, and they have the Mediterranean Sea. Where I'm going to with all of that geography is to the fact that we woke up to realize that Israel has targeted Hamas leaders in Doha. In fact, when I saw it on the international news, I was a bit confused. I thought, okay, maybe it's called Operation Doha. It's just a name. I didn't know that they targeted Hamas leaders right in the heart of Qatar. So you're talking about from Iraq to Jordan, Iraq, Yemen, no, not Yemen, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. So it's around the same region, but Israel has been on an onslaught against Hamas leaders. Literally, I don't know what is left of Gaza as we speak. International community has spoken so loudly to say, look, yes, Hamas provoked on October the 7th, 2 years ago, but this is like overkill. But Israel is insisting, you know, backed by the Americans sometimes, even the Americans sometimes is not quite happy with the action of Israel. I think our humanity should play in. For me, it's not two things that is worrying. It's a continuous onslaught on Gaza, and especially the number of casualties that have been recorded, especially children, and it's very, very disturbing. I don't think any rational, consensus person will be happy with the action of Israel as far as that region is concerned. Yes, Israel may be complaining about being surrounded by too much hostility, so there's that paranoia to take out every element around them, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to Hamas on the Gaza Strip, and then you can go to what's playing out in Iran, whatever Iran is doing with the Hutu rebels, so they have the enclave around. So this is them trying to target everything that has to do with Hamas. And bombing the hearts, sending a missile or whatever it is called in the heart of Qatar is very disturbing. Some people have said this is an assault on the sovereignty of the states of Qatar, and this is a call to war. We do not know how this is going to pan out. Well, we heard that they actually notified the America. Whether America permitted or not is a different kettle of fish, because Benjamin Netanyahu had said they did it unilaterally, independently, and all of that. So we don't know what the coming days looks like within that Arabian area, or Gulf, if you will, the Gulf region. And this is just, I don't know whether I would call it more trouble in the big Arabian Peninsula and crossing over to places like Israel. We don't know what's playing out, but this is very disturbing.
Absolutely.
And it's, this conflict is very complicated.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And thank you for that geographical background you have laid for our viewers there. For me, it's the fact that just when we thought that there were ongoing talks and we're nearing a possible ceasefire, out of the blues, Israel strikes Qatar. And so just like you as well, I got home yesterday and I said, okay, you know what, let me just check in on the international stations and see what's going on. And then I saw it, first of all, on CNN. I was like, are you serious? It was breaking on Connect the World with Becky Anderson. And I said, you know what, let me go to Al Jazeera and see. And then I was like, whoa, this cannot be happening. And this was happening. I understand that we also had some diplomats from America and Qatar just around where that building was hit by that missile. So it's indeed heartbreaking. Just when we thought we saw some sort of positivity, there was perhaps coming to an end to all of this madness, global madness that we have seen. And then again, Israel does strike. So I don't know where this leaves us. Remember that for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's still angry that Hamas is holding on to hostages, Israeli hostages, and perhaps that is his grievances. He wants those hostages released first before he, puts pen to paper. Maybe because that's the body language that I see from him. But so much pressure would be on him at this time. There was a lot of delay as to a response from the White House. President Trump has always been his own messenger. He needs no spokesperson. He needs no Minister of Information. Because on his social media, his personal social media, which he owns, Truth Social, all eyes were on Truth Social yesterday, waiting to see him post something. But for a long time, there was no response from the White House. Journalists were expecting to get a reaction from the White House, but somehow Trump was a bit silent and all of that. So perhaps that gives indication that he got the nod that Israel was going to strike Qatar. But I think this is really devastating. I wonder how this will be for Qatar right now, because they have been trying to play the mediator role, trying to see how they can intervene and all of that. I wonder if they're going to pull out now completely and say, no, what, you cannot put our city, our country at risk, our citizens at risk, because we are trying to bring peace to the world. So it's really, really heartbreaking indeed. And as you've mentioned, that war is also affecting nations around the world. Yeah.
It's very disturbing. For a lot of people, they look at it as an assault on sovereignty of a state. Qatar is a destination for a lot of people. But,
absolutely,
well, let's see how that plays out. But still staying on the international scene, something different is happening in Nepal. And the young people have taken their own destiny in their hands. And so if you're not following what's going on in Nepal around the world, the Prime Minister of Nepal has actually resigned. And that came with a lot of... See, these young people, they took their destiny in their own hands. They said, this is not going to happen anymore. What are they trying to say? They feel that there's too much corruption in the system. The politicians are enriching themselves and their families. They call it Nepal, something like that. Enriching themselves and their family while the majority of the citizens are suffering. So these young people, well, they went maybe a bit excessive. They touched the parliament building. Because this protest had been on, they touched, I think, the Supreme Court building and all that. They showed unity, voice, and all of that. And they literally frightened politicians. And they burned some of the houses, now, of the political class in Nepal to just make sure their voices are heard. And now they said they want all officials to resign. When I was looking at it, I said, this is similar to what plays out in Nigeria in terms of what they are saying. You see politicians who have no means of enterprise becoming so wealthy, their families are so enriched. But I do not hope that we get to this point where we destroy facilities that are institutional facilities and all of that. But this is what happens when you take people to a breaking point. And if you trace this as an origin, there may be time when media, civil society, every reasonable voice is saying, politicians and the political class, you're doing too much. The people are angry, the people are suffering, but they keep, maybe they have tone deaf to the challenges of the people. And now it has resulted in this destruction and all of that. Well, the Prime Minister has resigned, but the young people said that's not all. They want all of them to go. They maybe need a fresh start entirely. Anyway, what do you make of it?
Yeah, it's good to see the people there. When the people come together in any society, their voice is always very strong and must be heard. Yes, we are not supporting the destruction of those facilities or infrastructure. I also understand that at least 22 persons have died. So
they were shot at.
They were shot at by the security operatives. The Nepal's army has said that everything is under control. But it's good to see young people take their destinies into their own hands. I think here in Africa, the last time we saw this was maybe Kenya some months ago.
Gen Z.
Coming out, and all of that. And it's just for one thing, the corruption. Nothing more, nothing less. It's the fact that there's a very heavy, or allegedly heavy corruption in that country, or corrupted leaders, and that's why the people have decided to take to the streets. So for me, it begs the question of the young people for us in the continent. There are lessons for us to learn from some of these countries. But as you've mentioned as well, I think our leaders always know that when you push the people to a point of no return. They can always fight back. In Nigeria, the last time we saw that was the NSAS in 2020 and 2021, and it was really massive, where people had to drop their religion aside, they had to drop their ethnicity aside. I didn't care whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian. It was the fact that we're all very hurt at what we had seen over time play out with police brutality, corruption, and other issues. And so, while we're not suggesting that we should get to that point, but I think that sometimes the voices of the people can be very heavy, and we need such.
That's why we're screaming now, politicians, get your act together. There's always an origin to a crisis. Don't push the people to the wall. When they are saying they're in pain, like now they are saying this 5% surcharge on PMS, fear. Whether it was put in 2007 or reenacted or not, take it out now. I was talking to Tawo Yedele, the chairman of the committee, who said, "Look, it's not us. Take it out now. Now that it's early. So at the end of the day, so that all of us will have peace and tranquility and see how we can build our country. Things don't degenerate. Don't push the people to the wall." But let's bring you up to speed what we're doing today on the program. First up, we're going to talk about this Natasha Akpoti, senator that has been suspended, that wrote to the Senate to say, I am ready to come back because, you know, my suspension, the time has elapsed. Well, the senator has written back to her that, sorry, your case is still a subject of under adjudication. You can't come back until the court exhausts all of that. We will talk about that issue today on the program. Kelly, next.
Yes, of course, we'll also get to pay attention to the NUPENG and Dangote issue as well. It takes a new twist now. It looks like perhaps we have seen some sort of resolutions there. I know that Dangote is not in the country as we speak, but it's good to see that he had representatives at a particular meeting last night, and we will get to bring you up to speed with what played out last night, you know, around this dispute.
And we will talk about the incident in Oworonshoki, protests that happened. The residents of that area saying no. In Nigeria, say we no go agree. The protest caused a lot of problems for users of the road. They are talking about their lands being taken over. Our future has been truncated, stop the demolition and all of that. Well, the representatives of the area would all be here on the program to tell us exactly what the agitation really is all about. And
sports gets our attention next on the show today as well. Finally,
don't tell me. My heart breaks.
We are back to permutations, calculations. I mean, we love to do this. It's our thing, you know, so we're not surprised. So we're going to look at the Super Eagles' chances as regards to the World Cup. Remember, we have missed a representation at the World Tournament, I think 2 times now, back-to-back. So where do we stand? Get your calculators, sports correspondents who will be joining us live on the show as we get to do this analysis. I feel so
sad. I feel heartbroken. We're left with prayers and calculators. Not again. Okay, guys. That is how we're going to roll the program today. Our guest analyst is already in our Abuja studio to help us out on what's playing out on the dailies. The headlines will be coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
Well, many thanks indeed for staying with us. Let's get to take a look at the papers. We have Igor Akeriha joining us live from our Abuja studios to do some analysis and commentaries. Igor, good to have you join us this morning, and thank you indeed for joining us on the program.
Absolutely. Good morning. It's a pleasure.
All right, let's take a look at some of the dailies this morning and get to see which of them would perhaps be getting your attention and analysis. Let's begin with the leadership. We see here CBN targets $1 billion monthly diaspora remittances next year as Tinubu orders clamp down on regulated digital currencies. We know how this funds, how essential, how pivotal they are to our economy. But you see the target of the CBN there, $1 billion. Igor, is this realistic?
Well, on the surface, it will appear to be realistic. If you look at the number of Nigerians that are outside of the country, yes, it could be realistic. But again, it is tied to the willingness of the Nigerians in diaspora to actually remit some of these funds. You know, how many Nigerians are coming back home with the kind of news that they get about their country? Is the country safe? Are their relatives here safe? What is the state of the economy? What is the state of infrastructure? And all of that. So the government is always looking at the positive side, where it can generate funds, get money. We are talking about the 5% fuel tax and all of that. So government is not just about trying to rake in money, trying to look for ways of getting funds in. It's also, the government should also be interested in the welfare of the people. Yes, it looks like a tall ambition, but it is realizable if the government itself also puts the right pegs, in the right place back home to encourage Nigerians to, to either visit during Christmas or send money back home. I think the whole idea is also about trying to defend the dollar. With that kind of money coming in, maybe the naira can be strengthened against the dollar. But again, that is not a good economic policy. It's not a strategy. The strategy should be, moving away from consumption to production. But overall, the government is just being ambitious.
Mr. Kerle, we will continue to talk about this money part as long as we can. But before we leave the leadership newspaper to go to another daily, there's some headline just hidden somewhere, just beneath the rider on the main story. 2027, more governors will join APC, says Yewata. That's the APC national chairman. Well, it looks like the APC is quite confident, for whatever reason, that governors of perhaps the PDP this time will be joining them. I was taking a roll call of the losses of the PDP since the APC came into being. If you count the 5 that left during the merger, led by Rotimi Amechi, and you add the Matawale, former Governor Matawale of Zamfara, said that's 6, and then you had the 2 people that left the PDP during the tenure of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. That's Ben Ayade and Dave Umahi. That should be 8, and then you now add the current ones, Sheriff Oborowori and Umahi of Akwa Ibom State. That's PDP has lost about 10 governors in about 11 to 12 years. So what do you make of this constant, movement of governors to the APC and their reception for them?
Well, many Nigerians who are watching what is going on, are a bit, are baffled about, the trend, the political trend in the country, where you have governors who are the chief executives of their states actually leaving their party on which they won elections to move to the opposition party and then become a member of those parties. But there are political dynamics that drive these decisions. For example, the governor of my state, Sheriff Oborowori, has consistently maintained when he moved over to the APC that, prior to the 2023 presidential elections, there was a general agreement that the presidency should shift to the south, and that as governor of Delta State, and I think that is also the thinking of some of most South governors, that the president who is from the south needed to be supported, to succeed in light of the political amalgam, the movement in the north. Most northern politicians are moving to the ADC, and so it is almost becoming a political struggle between the north and south, which again is very unfortunate that our national politics has descended into the arena of regional politics. But I think those are some of the considerations. And then trying to align the oil-bearing states with the center to attract development and all of that. Those were the issues that were raised as the South governors moved over to the ruling party. But again, if you look at the flip side of it, for me, I try to evaluate political ideology. Where does ideological inclination of Nigerian politicians stand? If you're a public office holder, a politician, I would think that for you to be a member of a political party, you are comfortable with the ideological leaning of that political party, and so moving from your own party to another party whose ideology may be at variance with the original ideology of your own party. That is something, for me, I have not been able to reconcile. But politicians have their way of doing their things. It is about, you know, no permanent enemy, but just permanent interest. It's about political alignment. So we see what happens. But with regards to whether more governors are going to leave the PDP to join the APC, for me, I even think that some governors are trying to leave the APC and move to the opposition political party. But we'll see how all of this play out.
Well, the dynamics ahead of us, Mr. Akpoti, is going to be quite interesting. And just to help you, and I've constantly said this, and I'll continue to say it, and I'm waiting for any governor, any politician, any person, even the president, to challenge me on it. Nigerian political parties are not driven by ideologies. Let's just keep that conversation for another time. They are driven by interest, and some of them have not been shy to it. So maybe we can't rule out the fact that in the future there will not be, we will not evolve to a point where we're driven by, so that you don't just wake up and move. You cannot just be this today and be that tomorrow. In terms of ideology, that's what ideology constricts you, restricts you.
Yes, Jeffrey, I must make the point. Jeffrey, I must make the point that this is where the National Assembly comes in. You know, if the National Assembly does not make laws, you know, to govern even the behavior of politicians who are members of political parties, we are going to go over this over and over again. It is high time we have the parliament sitting down to look at it. Once you are a member of a political party, you know, you have to stay and stick with your party, whether you win elections or not. If we say we are modeling the American style democracy, then you do not have Republicans jumping over to the Democratic Party in the U.S. or Democrats moving to the Republican Party or the Green Party and all of that. So for us to strengthen our democracy, we must get to the point where there are laws forcing politicians to remain in their political parties.
You know, I'm like, Mr. Akpoti, which of the politicians will sign the law that will restrict the politician from defect?
In this country, we copy
that is the challenge we have.
Who will sign? Okay, that's a discussion for another day. Daily Independent is our next daily that we'll look at with Mr. Akpoti. FG rules out immediate enforcement of 5% fuel tax. Says it's not new tax created by Tinubu administration. Perhaps it's off the conversation we had and reinforced by the administration. Said this has to come from the pronouncement of the Minister of Finance. Of course, he has to look at what is playing out in the polity. But Nigerians are saying we have been taxed too much already. We are taking care of our electricity, we're taking care of our roads, sometimes we're taking care of water. The list is long. Levies being paid on the road. So whatever great intent it is that you have this 5%, please throw it into the dustbin. Look for ways to maintain FEMA, leave us out of it, or you generate your money and leave us out of it. What do you make of this?
Well, the government must be very careful not to further incense Nigerians. Nigerians already are experiencing multi-dimensional poverty, and a whole lot of people are suffering. Sometimes I wonder, I just returned from Lagos State yesterday, and that is the commercial heartbeat of Nigeria, with so much money. Lagos State gets the, you know, if you look at whether it's the IGRO or the federal allocations going to Lagos, it's about the highest. But all the roads, almost all the roads in Lagos State have potholes, including the BRT lanes, all of the roads. If you look at the suburbs of Lagos State, whether it's in the Kurudu, Ekpe, and some of those adjoining towns, there are no roads. They are clearly impassable. So, and then if you then look at federal roads coming to the federal level, if you want to commute from Abuja, you know, to deep into southern Nigeria, whether you're going to the south, southeast, or even the southwest, there are no roads, no connecting roads. As we speak, Kogi State, from Kogi to Edo State, is completely cut off. From Edo to Warri in Delta State is cut off. Nobody can commute on the roads. So what is the government talking about? Once upon a time, they said billions of naira were taken out of the NNPC post to fix roads, to fix federal roads. Yet we still have budgetary allocation to fix these roads. And the government is taking loans. Now, in the last time I look at the loans that the Tinubu administration has taken, they're taking about 6 tranches of loans. What are these monies used for? At a time that even the government is also telling Nigerians that oil production has been ramped up and we are getting more petrodollars, you know, arising from oil sales. So where are all these monies? If we can't fix our roads, we can't adequately deal with security issues, we are not producing, we are just consuming. So exactly, and then we can't also fix electricity. So what exactly are we doing as a nation? Nigerians are tired. If you look at in Nepal, what's happening in Nepal, these are some of the things that drives public anger, even though we don't subscribe to that. But I think, you know, these are sensitive issues that the government must begin to pay attention to. It's becoming quite worrisome and disturbing.
Absolutely, Mr. Igor. It's a big challenge for us as a nation. And when you look at the infrastructure, you think that, well, that's one sector that needs urgent attention. But take a look at the New Telegraph. It centers on power. It says, no Nigerian should die due to power interruptions, says Tinubu. Vows to fix power outages in hospitals, overhaul health facilities. And then we also hear that hospitals spend 180 million naira monthly on electricity. Minister, invest in nursing education for economic growth, nurses tell government. So from infrastructure, roads, to the issue of power, Mr. Igor, well, the president is vowing to fix that particular issue because it's a big challenge for us as a people, industries, businesses, SMEs, and all of that. So we rely heavily on power. You think that can be done in the next 2 years, or he needs perhaps another 4 years to fix the power sector?
Well, the president appears to be telling Nigerians the right things that they want to hear. But what the president is saying is not aligning with what Nigerians are experiencing. The president did say during his campaign that if he does not fix electricity, then Nigerians should not vote for him again. Now he's repeating it that he's going to address the challenge of you know, power outage, power disruptions, and all of that in the polity. He has about 1 year and 8 months to go. You know, don't forget, by next year it will be politicking, even though it has started in earnest. So the president has to walk his talk. He probably means well for Nigerians, but Nigerians have not seen a practical demonstration of the benefits accruable to them from the various policies of this government. So it is not enough to talk. People want to also see the dividends of what is being said. Severally, the national grid has collapsed. Most Nigerians now resort to solar energy. They try to supply their personal power from solar energy. They provide their water. People get their premises. You know, that's also a way of providing security for themselves. So the Constitution is very clear that the purpose of government is security and welfare of citizens. So the president is saying this morning, perhaps in the next 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, we want to see stability in the power sector. In the health sector, as he has said, we want to see hospitals well equipped, you know, with sufficient power, so that people do not die, you know, from lack of oxygen or lack of power to our health facilities.
I was just going to ask, staying with the power sector, because in some parts of Lagos, for instance, the island, there are people who are in Band A, and they don't get to feel what the other Nigerians are feeling. They have 24 hours power supply. So for them, I mean, it's okay. The power sector is working for them. So I wonder if you think that we can replicate what we see in some parts of the island, precisely, and some parts of the mainland to other parts of Nigeria. And then I wonder if you think that we can pay for it, because it's one thing to have that power for 24 hours, you know, as much as you want it, but you have to pay, and pay heavily for it.
No, but the point to be made, the point to be made, you know, that is discriminatory power politics supply. You know, if you say people, I'm on Band A in Abuja here, for example, and I pay so much, I pay through my nose. How much is my salary? How much is my income? So most Nigerians, the AEDC didn't seek my permission to ask whether I'm interested in being in Band A or Band B or somewhere. They just classify a residential area and say the residents here are supposed to be on Band A. And then they slam you with the bills. So it means that it is possible to supply, you know, regular power to Nigerians. But again, because of our capitalist economy, where you try to target people and get income from them, whilst you segmentalize the populace and say, okay, maybe this group of people cannot pay for these services. You know, so for me, that is discrimination. It's power supply discrimination, right, which is also not a good policy on its own.
All right.
Well, this power matter. But I'm also on Bani, and I've never...
I'm also on Bani, and I've never been happy with that Bani because of I can never be excited about the amount that leaves the accounts every month compared to what it was. But it's where we are. Let's hope that what they call creaming effects in pricing will happen when it starts high and then it begins to go down. Now we're even hearing that a lot of people are getting off the grid because of the expensive tariff or power, the cost. They're not doing solar, they're doing all sort of alternative energy. Perhaps that's also a good thing so that we don't rely on one entirely. But for you and I who can still afford a few things or the other, maybe. But for the people who cannot, that's where we really need to speak up for them, that no matter what they are, that's why we'll commend some of the effort by the REA for some of the things they've done, and they need to keep doing it so that people that are the low-income earners will be able to be part of the system, because the system is supposed to protect all of us. According to Section 16 of our Constitution, everybody, what they call the principle of state policy, is supposed to be able to protect as many vulnerable people as possible. The Constitution is as clear as crystal. Let's go to the Guardian newspaper, Mr. Akpoti. A couple of stories here, but let's begin with the big one. So you see all the big faces, the big names there. FG under pressure as DMO blames FX global shocks for rising debt. So you can see the leadership of the National Assembly, Speaker and Senate President. Then you see the President at the middle. You see the Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. And then the DG of the DMO, Debt Management Office. And, you know, because there has been this argument as, you know, the President have come out to say, look, we're doing pretty well. The numbers look good for us. In fact, he said, you know, our budget is about, say, 54.9 or so trillion. Let's just call it approximately 55 trillion. Revenues accruing to us should come to about 36, and the other balance is a deficit. And under that, I think the non-oil sector is supposed to bring in about 15 trillion or so. And the president said, look, we've generated 20 trillion by August, and most of it came from the non-oil sector. So as far as the non-oil sector is concerned, we're good. We're not borrowing money from the local banks, so the crowding out effect has actually reduced. But on the other hand, we now see conversations around new borrowing. So that escalated a lot of conversation. People are now saying, what's going on? So this is their explanation, that the big numbers of about 140-something trillion, not necessarily because of new borrowings, because of the exchange rate and the depreciation of the naira. What do you make of the back and forth, Mr. Akpoti?
Well, I think this is also part of the challenge that the government is having. The government is having to deal with the negative perception of most Nigerians about the economic policies of this government itself. If we have the 2025 fiscal budget that is almost 55 trillion, how does that percolate to the ordinary man on the streets? Are we seeing the effect? That is the question, the natural question that you know, the common Nigerians would ask. And then, of course, if you also listen to what the Speaker of the House of Representatives said, Tajuddin Abbas, when he actually expressed concern about the rising debt profile of the country and then the borrowings. That is, the Speaker is clearly the number 4 citizen in terms of the political hierarchy of this country. Coming from him, and he's a member of the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress. That cause for concern, he appears to have sounded the alarm bell. So what the government is telling us appears to be at variance, and then we are beginning to see cracks looking at what the Speaker is saying. Now, if the non-oil sector has the government, from what it says, by August that it has, you know, about 20 trillion naira has accrued to the government. What has been done with this 20 trillion? Which of the sectors has this money been invested or used to address critical challenges of the sector, such that Nigerians can feel the positive impact? So it is not just enough to reel out figures and then regale Nigerians with these figures. It's also about the daily lives of the average Nigerian, whether it is impacting on them. And just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a colleague. And we said, look, just a few years back, the Ghanaian city and the Francophone countries that are our neighbors, they come to do business with Nigeria, and everybody wants to lay their hand on the naira. Today, as we speak, the CFA, which is the currency of the Francophone countries around us, and the Ghana cities, the value is far, far higher than the naira. Yeah, just this morning, as I already report, the government is, the naira has made some gains. It is now exchanging for 1,525. No, I don't understand the metrics, the economic metrics that the government is using to measure its so-called achievements. I think the government needs to sit down, review and reevaluate its economic policies, such that the value of the naira must reinvent itself, such that it can compete with global currencies. That is the only way to look at a prospering economy. Once your naira has no value, the naira, as we all know, that it has been floated, so it is still floating, and it is difficult for the purchasing power itself of most Nigerians have been grossly affected, and it is driving up inflation, and production, internal production is not adequate. Most multinational companies have pulled out of Nigeria. Many have moved to Cote d'Ivoire, to Ghana, and they just produce there and then bring the finished products back to us to consume. So the government must look at the policy that can reattract these multinationals back, so that we can produce. As we speak, Nigeria is one of the biggest countries in Africa that consumes vehicle tires. Yes. We don't have any tire manufacturing company in Nigeria. So these are I think the government should look at policies that can reattract these companies back to the country to show up the value of the naira.
Well, the APC-led government will also argue that Nigeria's economy needs very surgical, serious or severe surgical operation, and so they're working, they are fixing it. Perhaps they need more time to do that. They'll tell you how the 16 years of the PDP left so much damage, and so they're trying to fix the economy. But it's a fine place to leave it. Thank you indeed for analysis and commentaries, Mr. Igor Akerega, member, Nigerian Guild of Editors, live for us from our Abuja studios. Thank you indeed for your time. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. All right, this is the morning brief. We're going to switch gears now, for a moment, and get to talk something else. It has to do with the controversies, the drama that we've seen in the Senate since early February this year, 2025, between Natasha Akpoti and the Senate, or perhaps the Senate presidents who take another twist, which took another twist yesterday when the Senate wrote officially saying that, look, you know what, we're not ready for you just yet because the matter is still in court. We'll get some insights and perspective in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Mr. Douglas Ogbankwa, former publicity secretary of the NBA Benin branch, joins us now to make sense of what is playing out as far as the Natasha Akpoti suspended senator and the Senate, or maybe the Senate president this time, is concerned. Mr. Ogbankwa, thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I don't know how we got here. Okay, maybe I know how we got here, but it's becoming a bit... Something that is simple is becoming convoluted. So there are three parts to this, so the benefit of Nigerians, so that you help us make sense of the situation. So there are three things that had to do with Natasha Akpoti, the senator, and the Senate. One started with what they call parliamentary misconduct, outbursts, and what they consider disrespect to the office of the Senate president that earned the suspension. And then things quickly snowballed into the issue of allegations of sexual assaults against the Senate president. That got a lot of conversation. Whilst that was going on, we now got another dimension to it, that had to do with allegations of attempted assassination against her. And then this, she was sued, the federal government being the principal complainant, the nominal complainant being the Senate President and former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello. That's how we got here. Now, judicial intervention came in, and we saw that enrolled order at the beginning, and there were multiple interpretations to whether or not the court said she can resume or she cannot resume. The lawyers were divided on, in fact, the language sounded like it was more of an obiter dictum in an enrolled order. But that's what we found ourselves. But the Senate has now said that case is still in court. For that, you can't resume. People are faulting the Senate. How do you interpret this?
Thank you very much. First of all, it is important for us to follow the sequence of events, how we got here. You have given a succinct analysis of what happened. And just to add that it's important for us to know that both parties have been in variance with the law one way or the other. And I would analyze that in a bit. First of all, why Senator Natasha Akpoti was still in court, the Senate proceeded to pronounce the suspension on her. As far as I'm concerned, that is double standard, because if they are saying the case is still in court and they cannot proceed with the matter, then why did you pronounce the suspension on her while the case is still in court? Now, having also said that, I would say that the conduct of Senator Natasha Akpoti on the floor of the House was unbecoming of that of a senator. Now, you must understand this, that the Constitution have given the Senate the powers to regulate its affairs, its procedure, and the way sittings we hold. Now, the Senate, in its wisdom, has promulgated rules that would regulate how they conduct their affairs. And according to the Senate rules, the Senate President is the only person that has exclusive powers to determine sitting position. And according to the same Senate rules, it is when you are seated in the position allocated to you by the Senate President that you can be heard. You cannot be bigger than a system. Senator Natasha Akpoti made a very vital slip. He should have, first of all, gone to the seat allocated to her by the Senate President, and from that seat, address the Senate President. In any case, the language of the parliament, there's a law, they say you must use a parliamentary language once addressing the leader of the House. Having also said that, I also want to say that the Senate as an institution has no power to suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti for 6 months. This is because a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not an employee of the Senate. Such a senator is a representative of his or her people. He was elected by his or her people. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, is clear and ambiguous to the fact that there shall be a senator for each of the 109 Senate each of the 109 senatorial districts, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And in the case of the Kaduna State House of Assembly case, which was decided by the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal, it was an affirmative decision, unlike in Senator Natasha Akpoti's case, which, in my opinion, the judgment left a lot to be desired. In that case, it was so clearly stated that a member of a legislative house is not an employee of the legislative house, that the relationship between a member of the legislative house and the legislative house is not a master relationship. A Senate president, a speaker, is a interparent. Equals. Person is only privileged to be chosen among his or her mates to be so elected. But once such a person has been elected, you that elected him or her must accord such a person the respect and the authority as provided by the Constitution and the rules. Now, let's come to something very interesting that Nigerians are missing. And that's why you see this case is very complicated. And Senator Natasha Akpoti should be very careful. Else, it's going to get more complicated. And I'll tell you why. Why the case was still in court. Senator Natasha Akpoti issued a Facebook post which she called, unquote, an apology. In that quote, she satirically ridiculed the person and office of the Senate President, the Senate President as an institution. It was based on that Honorable Justice Binta Iyaku gave the order saying that Senator Natasha Akpoti is guilty of contempt. And let me tell you something, that is a criminal conviction. Contempt is a quasi-criminal matter. And said she should pay 5 million naira to the federal government coffers. And I need to say this. She, in her wisdom, now appealed to the Court of Appeal. Now, while the whole shenanigans was ongoing, you realize that Senator Akpoti landed in her constituency with a helicopter. In that particular rally, she made very, very strong allegation against the Senate President and the former governor of Kogi State, now Senator Yaya Bello. And I quote, according to even the charge filed by the Office of the Attorney General, that Senator Akpoti said that in a meeting between the Senate President and Senator Yaya Bello, she stated that it was part of the meeting, the discussion that Akpabio had with Yaya Bello that night to eliminate me. Yes. That is a very, very wieldy allegation.
Mr. Banko,
these persons, that's the Senate President and Senator Akpabio, did a petition to the Appellate Authority. They invited Senator Natasha Akpoti to substantiate
Mr.
claim.
Yes, Mr. Banko.
Based on that, she was charged to court for cyberbullying, and according to the cyber crime prohibition, the cyber crime prohibition Act 2015 as amended.
Yes, so I mean, it's interesting walking us through that historical background and all of that. Let me see how I can keep my questions really very short, because I have a number of them to ask. So as a legal practitioner, as a lawyer, based on the facts that you have, I wonder which side you think appears to have the stronger legal position.
The matter is sub judice, and I only just read out the facts for us all to be able to make our own opinion. Now, I need to tell Nigerians this, that I need to say this, what you hear and see in social media is different.
All right, Mr. Banka, I don't know network issues, but let's bring in
in real life. So I need to say this, that many Nigerians are carried away by the trappings of the euphoria of social media. You need to situate these issues according to what you are seeing in the case file.
All right, Mr. Banka, if I may butt in, my apologies, Mr. Banka, if I may butt in just a moment. My apologies if I may butt in. If you can hear us so that we can have a free-flow conversation because of the time we have. Let's bring in Mr. Mark Jacobs. He's a former legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party. He joins us virtually from the nation's capital. Mr. Jacobs, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much. It's good to join you.
A quick one. What's your interpretation of what's really playing out? Some people are saying this conundrum even started from that enrolled order where it looks like the judge was actually giving an opinion or an obiter dictum rather than an enforceable order of courts in terms of whether or not she should resume, because he used language like in his own, in the opinion of the honorable judge, the 6 months is excessive. But now we're here, she has written to say, my 6 months is done and dusted. I want to resume, and they say no. It's still a subject under adjudication. How do you interpret this? One, as a lawyer, two, as a member of the People's Democratic Party?
Well, what I see is a further display of impunity gone too wild. Because if anybody cares to listen to the National Assembly, particularly the current Senate, they have always insisted that the courts or nobody at all should interfere with their exercise of constitutional powers to discipline their members. And they have always said that it is a constitutional donation that should not be taken away by the courts or by anybody. So, and looking at the history of that matter, when the matter went to court, the defense, if anybody has bothered to look at the processes, what the National Assembly was saying is that they exercise their powers under the Constitution and under their rules, and that the courts should not even interfere. What that certainly means is that they claim and they want to rely on the independence of the legislature, which is a respected norm in federalism. But you see, you can't blow hot and cold at the same time. You cannot be saying that courts should not interfere with the use or with the exercise of your powers and the implementation of your rules, and then turn around to say that because a matter is in court, you are not also going to comply with your own rules. The National Assembly or the Senate suspended this woman for 6 months. There should be no discussion as to when 6 months expire. There should not be any disguise. There is no confusion here. So when 6 months expire, naturally, under their rules, without the help of any court, without the interference of any court, this woman should be allowed to resume her seat. But you see, it is a situation we have today where people choose and pick what to obey and who to respond to.
All right.
They understand very well that the whole world is looking at them. They know very well that they don't have any justification to prevent this lady from resuming her seat. But because they want to hide and seek, they will continue to say that there's a court process. The court order or the court judgment by Justice Nyako is very clear. If a court says that what you did is unconstitutional or is excessive and is not correct, it goes to the bottom, to the root of the exercise of your powers. And it literally says what you did was wrong. And you should not be picking and choosing what to do with that interpretation. So it's a pity that they have people advising them to be disobedient, to be disrespectful to the courts. Once a court says, even in passing, that what you have done is wrong, what does it mean?
Mr. Douglas.
If it says
Mr. Douglas,
the exercise of your power was excessive
yes,
and wrong, you don't need anybody to come and tell you that what you did was wrong and you should reverse it. But you see, when the judgment came, they were saying, first of all, that they have not seen the certified true copy. Then two, they quickly went on appeal. And now they are now using the appeal as a basis to disobey their own rules.
So I wonder...
This is contradiction. This is...
Yes, so that we can get in one or two more questions since you've only just joined us. So my first question is, I remember that the Senator Natasha herself had mentioned that she has very strong evidence against the Senate President over, allegedly sexual harassment. The arguments from the camp of the Senate President is that we've not seen those evidence just yet. Bring it out. I remember the lawyers of Akpabio saying, Mondo Bani, one of them saying, look, bring the evidence you say you have. So that's my first question to you. Why is the evidence that she has not out yet in the public domain, since she's allegedly, been crying out loud that she's facing some sort of humiliation or some sort of victimization. That's one. Two, the Senate President shares a very special relationship with the 001 of this country, Mr. President. Do you think it has gotten to the point where Mr. President should intervene?
First of all, let's distinguish between the Senate obeying their own rules. If you suspend your member for 6 months, at the expiration of 6 months, there should be no discussion, there should be no hesitation in allowing the person to resume her seat. That should be very clear. It's part of their rules. You make a rule, you make a decision, and you give it a timeline. The decision has a lifespan. That lifespan expires without discussion, without argument. Let's distinguish that from the issues of the allegations. Now, on the allegations, if I say I have an evidence against you, will I be wise to bring it to you? You who is supposed to be the defendant, I should bring the evidence and give you. For what? The court, the matter is in court. That is what people should be waiting for. They should say, let the matter proceed in court so that we see the evidence. But they are the ones that have been fighting against the progression of the matter, filing one objection or the other, making sure that we don't get to the stage of hearing the matter properly. Let them allow the court process the proceedings to continue. We are still at very preliminary stages. They have refused to allow the matter to proceed. And every day, they are spinning one act or the other to make sure that we don't get to the stage of hearing. Right. I don't know what evidence she has, and I don't even really care. But the point is, you made a decision, and you gave a timeline to your decision. You gave it lifespan, 6 months.
All right.
That 6 months or those 6 months have expired. You don't need to be hiding behind anything to obey your own rules. When you make a rule, stick to it.
All right.
6 months should be 6 months. That
yes.
is the you can't be hiding, doing here.
Yeah, so let's bring in Mr. Ogbankwa into the conversation as well. Mr. Ogbankwa, in the aftermath of all of what has played out, the drama, the saga, I'd like you to perhaps paint a picture of what the wider implications are for us, you know, as a people, as a nation.
Very well, I'll do that, but I think I owe it as a duty to situate some of the issues that the National Legal Advisor has stated, of the PDP has stated. And first of all, I feel that, I know that there are several cases in court, and there are a lot of them that Senator Natasha have filed processes, but we don't know of anyone where she has indicated any evidence against Senator, distinguished Senator Akpoti, the Senate President. Now, it's very important that the one that the National Legal Advisor is talking about, filing processes, is there are cases that, you know, that have been filed here and there, you know, several cases. One of them has been determined by Honorable Justice Binta Nyako in her wisdom. Now, I also want to state that Senator Akpoti's wife also sued Natasha Akpoti for defamation. I don't know if Senator Natasha have filed a defense, and I can't comment on that, whether or not she put any evidence. But the Nigeria that I know, let's be very, very frank, when a senator was alleged to have collected some dollars, we heard the voice note even before the matter went to court. That is the truth. And so the kind of I'm a trial lawyer, and I know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm somebody that understands how, unquote, the women folks tend to use sexuality as a weapon. They weaponize sexuality sometimes.
Mr. Ogbankwa, if you can hear me for just a moment. Mr. Ogbankwa, can you hear me, sir? Okay, because of time. So let's just hit this as quickly as possible, because I think what Nigerians are more interested in right now, which I want both of you who are lawyers to speak to, and this question is for both of you gentlemen. Mr. Ogbankwa, is the Senate right or wrong in stopping her from resuming because the case is on appeal? That's a straight question, if you can answer that.
Are you asking me that question?
Yes, Mr. Bankwa.
There's nothing stopping her. I'm someone that I treat issues dispassionately. The Senate rules are clear. If the Senate says in one breath that no court of law can stop them from suspending Senator Natasha Akpoti, the Senate cannot now, you cannot pick and choose. You cannot appropriate and reprobate, not come and say in another breath that because the case is in court, she cannot come back. I think whoever gave that advice misadvised the Senate. And I think they should allow her to resume. If not for anything, Senator Natasha Akpoti needs to represent her constituency. Okay. There are people who are in that constituency that have not been represented for 6 months, which in my view is even illegal. In Senator Dino Belaye's case, decided by Bello J of the FCT High Court, stated that you can only suspend according to your rules. And the rules of the House of Representatives then actually indicated that you can only suspend for 14 days.
All right, Mr. Bankwa.
Does not give you power to suspend for 6 months.
Yeah, all right,
so,
yeah, yes. Because this is one of the very first time we're seeing this long, because I know that Omar Agege fought it as well. You remember that incident before he became DSP. Mr. Mark, let's find out what options are left for her, because I know she fought the battle to become a senator. You know, she is the court. She came through. So all of that time was lost. And now adding another 6 months is another kettle of fish. And then there was even an attempt to even recall her. What options are left her right now in the law?
Let me start by saying, look, I have had the privilege of seeing some of the processes and interrogating the case. The truth remains that when impunity gets to where the courts are being ridiculed by politicians, then we're in trouble. And nobody should support such behavior. The National Assembly cannot and should not be allowed to do as it wishes. The Senate should not be allowed to behave as though nobody, not the judiciary, not the executive, can touch them. And that is what is happening. Impunity is being raised to the high heavens. And it is wrong for anybody to say they have a choice or they are right. The National Assembly should be seen to be a beacon of hope and a protector of the laws that they make. They are the parliament in Nigeria, and they are the owners or the makers of the laws. So when you make a law and you turn around and you are toying with it, the supremacy of the judiciary when it comes to decisions like this must not be toyed with. You made a decision suspending somebody, the person went to court, you have resisted and you have said, you have brought up everything to justify your actions. A court has said that what you did was excessive and wrong. There should be no discussion or hesitation in recalling her, even before today. But today, the 6 months that you prescribed, you know that those 6 months have expired. There should be no discussion, no hesitation in allowing the person to resume his seat. Right. And it's a shame that we get to where the National Assembly, the owners and the makers of our laws will be picking and choosing what to do when it comes to law.
All right, Mr. Jacobs.
What China is doing is correct, is in the right way. Let these matters be expatiated and exposed. Let the National Assembly come up with a defense. Why they will not obey their own timelines?
All right.
When they make timelines, they must obey the timelines.
All right, Mr. Jacobs.
Without waiting for any court.
Yes, it's interesting. You know, within our climb and our jurisprudence, it looks like there's a culture of cherry picking on what is convenient. And so that's why I'm sure you're raising this concern as far as this is concerned. But we hope for a resolution somehow, because so many lost days for her as far as this issue is concerned. Mark Jacobs is a former legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party, joining us virtually. Also, Douglas Agbankwa, former publicity secretary of the NBA Benin branch. Gentlemen, we thank you for your expertise that you brought to this conversation. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you. I just wanted to add before I go that it's important for us as Nigerians to condemn whatever is bad. In Edo State, on the 13th of June 2019, a House of Assembly was inaugurated by 9:30 p.m. And
oh dear, well, sincere apologies, Mr. Agbankwa. I just wanted us to stay on the main issue. We've seen all kinds of things. We've seen 4-member House of Assembly. We've seen
3.
We've seen 3 members of Assembly. We've seen inconclusive defections. The things that politicians have subjected our legal process to is very interesting. But we'll leave it there for today. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the resolution between NUPENG and Dangote Refinery. Finally, they brokered a resolution. And that's the conversation we want to explore, and the future of that subsector or that downstream sector of the oil and gas industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's officially the second part of the program, and we get to talk the disputes there between Dangote and NUPENG. Finally, we have a headway. Let's get to unpack all of this now as we cross over live to our Abuja studios, where Mr. Femi Adewale joins us live on the program. Executive Secretary Dapman, who is live for us there. Thank you indeed for agreeing to talk to us on the program, Mr. Adewale. Finally, there's some sort of headway with this conciliation meeting. I was now a bit confused if what the difference is between a conciliation meeting and a reconciliation meeting. But walk us through what played out yesterday. You were there at that particular meeting. Walk us through what perhaps unfolded. How did they happen? And now that we have this agreement signed, sealed, and delivered, I wonder if you think all the issues have been laid to rest. Well, I'm not sure that we have your audio just yet, Mr. Femi Adewale. We'll see how we can get back to you very, very quickly. I mean, thankfully, this did not get to the point of experiencing that strike because Nigerians are going through a lot already. We don't just want to see anything that will make us get to experience another harsh economic realities and all of that. So it's good that quickly a resolution was reached. Thankfully, the Minister of Labour and Employment had to, I think, broker that particular meeting. So it's good that we have some sort of resolutions reached. But for me, I'm just wondering, is this the end?
Well, what is playing out is not supposed to be so much of a furore, but because of the critical nature of the role they play in national security, economic stability, and even growth. That's why whatever happens within the oil and gas sector, which is our biggest cash cow, everybody is alarmed. So it is important that all of this happens for us to be able to find a resolution. So yesterday, they finally resolved. But how did we get here? It was just a question of unionization, whether or not the workers in Dangote Refinery are allowed by the management to join unions or not. So the unions within that subsector disagreed to say, look, as much as it's within the rights of the worker to decide or not whether to associate with us, the management doesn't have the right to impose non-association with any union. That was actually the bone of contention. So let me read a few of the resolutions that were reached yesterday. Resolution number 1 is that since workers' unionization is a right in line with the provisions of extant laws, the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals agreed to the unionization of employees of Dangote Refinery and unionization of employees of Petrochemicals who are willing, central phrase here, who are willing to unionize. That the process of unionization will commence immediately and be completed within 2 weeks. That is 9th of September 2025. And it was agreed that the employer would not set up any other union because they were alleging that Dangote wanted to play fast one on them by setting up a parallel group, more like divide and rule. Arising from that strike notice, no worker or employee of Dangote Refinery or Petrochemical will be victimized. Parties will revert to the Honorable Minister of Labour a week after the conclusion of engagement. And then the last one, based on the MOU, that's a Memorandum of Understanding, NUPENG agreed to suspend industrial action with immediate effect. So we have the signatories from Dangote Group, the NNDPRA, which is the regulator of the subsector, and then the NLC and the TUC were in the room to append their signature, as well as being brokered by the Honorable Minister of the federal government in this case. So we're happy for the resolution, but there are wider implications as far as this is concerned. So, Kelly, what I was trying to say is that it feels to me like a battle of survival. But let's see whether we can get in, Ms. Adewale. Ms. Adewale, can you hear us now? Can you hear us? Oh, dear. So I was thinking I hope we can just get, because the depot owners which it represents, in fact, what they were doing was that when NUPENG said we will be embarking on strike, some of the association within the subsector said, look, we're in solidarity with you. Petron joined in to say, we will go all the way with you. A couple of other people said, this affects all of us. When we're talking to the Petron president, that's Mr. Billy Gillis-Harris, he said, if these tanker drivers don't bring the product to our outlets, our stations, then we're not going to have product to sell to Nigerians. So for me, I think it's a question of the battle for survival. Yeah. Because Dangote is a new entrant, but now a major entrant.
Very major.
Major entrant. 650,000 barrels capacity refinery, bought 4,000 CNG-powered trucks. That means it can service every local government area in Nigeria with at least 5 trucks. So that threatens the stability, what they call that, the workforce within that subsector, the people that are employed within that subsector. So there's naturally that fight, because they are also saying, maybe Dangote is saying they may want to sabotage his business and all of that. So, and they're accusing him of monopoly, that he's a monopolist, he wants to bring that monopoly here. So it's a back and forth, but eventually that resolution has been reached. That's why we're bringing in that man to come into the conversation. But for me, it's about survival. But competition is good. Absolutely. For you and I. For me and you, what is important is that when they fight, as long as the prices are coming down, I can't believe I just want to
get that commodity, cheaper than,
more affordable.
More affordable. Just before I talk about the resolutions, I think we must sort of commend the Tinubu administration. It may sound crazy, but look, compared to the previous administration, this would have lingered for weeks and months without any sort of interference. But I see that one of the positives is that when issues like this arise, most times the federal government intervenes almost immediately. So I think we must commend the government, the federal government, for intervening, for that quick intervention, as the case may be. I like the fact that part of that resolution was that for those who are not willing to join, there won't be any sort of victimization for them. And I remember that I mentioned this yesterday, how sometimes you're not part of a union, an association or a body. The others can come for you, and even vice versa. For instance, now if for Dangote now, let's say you decide to join the union now, maybe the company may not be totally happy with you, and so you experience some sort of victimization and all of that. So I'm happy that this has been resolved. Hopefully that everyone, gets to business as usual. Yes.
Okay. I think we may be able to. Let's see whether we'll be lucky to talk to Mr. Adewale. Maybe a last try. Mr. Adewale, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Mr. Adewale?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, finally, goodness gracious.
I can hear you.
Yes, goodness gracious. Thank you. Well, we've been trying to get you. I don't know how much time we have left, but let's allow you say what you, why we invited you here. Resolution brokered. Finally, peace at last. Help us walk through how we got here, and how does the union intend to be certain that because of this decision that the refinery will not victimize those who choose to unionize?
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're not hearing me.
Did you? Yeah, I can hear you, but can you hear us?
Good, good, good. Thank you very much.
Did you get my question, Mr. Adewale? All right, okay. I don't think we may be able to have this conversation just yet, but we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll switch gears to talk to the people from Oworonshoki as far as that demolition is concerned. And if we can catch Mr. Adewale back, maybe sometime at the end of the program, we'll do that. But stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. We'll try and see whether we can catch up with Mr. Adewale before the end of the program because of those technical issues. But for now, let's talk to the incident that happened in Lagos. Oworonshoki residents agitating over the demolition of their residence, and they are here to, make their case. Mr. Femi Badewa is an Oworonshoki resident, and the CDA chairman is also here, Community Development Association, I guess, Mr. Balogo Jamiu. Let's binge through this as quickly as possible. Did this demolition exercise come to you guys as a surprise? Or government had notified you, but, whatever you delayed and they came and it caught up with you? Give us what the facts are, because government is also going to respond.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah.
The demolition came to us as a surprise, because although we are notified that we should restructure our houses, and which we start doing that, repairing our houses. Even, I won't lie to you, there's a woman in our area that sold our house at Ikorodu to repair the one at Oworonshoki here. Unfortunately, as I speak to you, the house has been demolished. The woman, she's in the hospital like this, receiving treatment, which is very painful. When the notice came to us, that was April, that we should try and restructure our houses, middle of April. So another notice came as to remind us that we need to restructure our houses. We went there at Lapska office. We met the man in charge, that is in person of Sheyi at Ogudu. On our way getting there, we talked to him as a community, what are the things needed? They address us, that they need the survey plan and the drawing, which we did. Everything has been submitted. Some drawing were rejected, that they don't, maybe there's no column or stamp and other things like that. So all those documents are under process, which they would not lie to my hearing that maybe we did not submit the document, because the majority of the document was submitted to the office by me. As I speak, we under that process. So we thought, even during those days, all those properties there, the buildings, have been existing more than 50 years, 40 years. During our father time, I'm talking about 30 or 40 years back, when they were obtaining their CFO, like mine particularly, I have CFO, many of us have CFO, many documents like that. They collect the CFO to their pleasure time. I don't see if they will now condition us because that 2 months notice given to us, we did not restructure our houses, or we did not meet up with the target of the documentation they needed from us. They will now start demolishing our houses, which is our call for.
Yes, let's bring in Mr. Badru into the conversation as well. I wonder what your own story is.
Okay, thank you. On Friday, we've had April 9th, we got a report, a written, pasted on our wall. After a while, they came and we were addressed.
What was the content of the report?
We were asked to restructure our house, provide our documentation, which we went to the area office at Ogudu, and we were told what to do to get our survey, a register survey and architectural drawing for building approval, which most people are doing they are working on. Fast forward to Friday, we were shocked. I was shocked when someone called me and told me that the task force are coming that very Friday to come and demolish our house. And I said it's not possible. That at least I know, I don't have a relationship with the governor, but I've known that in Nigeria, if we are talking about governance, we are the number one governor is Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, which I don't believe we would deserve something. We, as a citizen, they would just come in and destroy our houses like that. So when it was around, that was around 6 p.m., I said it's not possible. And I was telling my people. So when I received the information, I had to go to the chairman, and I told him, we went to one of our elders and we had a discussion. The elders assured us that there's nothing like that. But after a while, I started seeing the environment being tensed up. People were coming in, they are hopping in, and a lot of things were going on. Fast forward to like 12 a.m., the first caterpillar came in. I was like, wow. After a while, the second one came in. At exactly 1 a.m., the demolition started. And when the demolition started, we were like, wow, is this real? Can this be true? We started making contact. We started looking elsewhere. Fortunately for us, on Saturday, we were able to get the House of Rep leader, which is in person of Ganiu Sani Okola, popularly known as Okla. We got to him and in his residence, and fortunately he spoke to us. He said he was there, I was not there. We were outside. He said he's going to the State House to see the governor, and he did. After that, after a while, he came with PS of the ministry, architect Oki.
Okay.
Yeah, and the demolition in our area was stopped around about 12. Between 11 and 12 noon, it was stopped. Yes. Okay. And Architect Oki addressed us that we should go and do our documentation, which is in process, and we should restructure our house to the modern. I was
going to ask, how long were you given to restructure?
We were trying to ask. I think the House of Rep leader...
Was it not clear in the notice, the earlier notices given to you?
It was not.
The duration you had to ensure your houses were restructured?
It was not stated in the notice that was shared.
Okay, part of the reason we brought you is to highlight the conversation, and government is going to respond. So let's be clear. What do you mean, so that for the audience, restructure means what? Because I'm looking through some of the reasons why government is coming for some of these areas. Flood-prone areas, tackling illegal, sand dredging, removing suspected criminal hideouts. They talked about unchecked dredging, estimated at over 10,000 cubic meters of sand, which pose serious risks to Lagos Lagoon and waterfront communities. So when you say restructure, what do they mean? The layman's understanding.
Okay, let me put it this way. When they said restructure, I believe maybe...
Not what you believe, what they said.
What they said.
What they said.
What they said.
Yes.
Because during that process, we later realized many people from the government did not know anything about this. They said it has been pushed, the action has been pushed by a king. But we do as if we don't know anything. We went to him, spoke to him, that this is what's happening. He told us he doesn't know anything.
Okay, besides who approved what and who knew what and who sent who to do what?
Okay, sir.
Restructure, what does it mean?
They asked us, because they said our house is shanties.
Okay, shanties.
They said the houses are shanties. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. He said the houses are shanties, which our houses are built of, although they've been built for a long time, but modernly we do restructure, we do put things in place. If there's anything going down, we put them back in the right order. So when they came and when Mr. Architect Oki came on Saturday, he was telling us that we should put our house in, we should modernize, make it look like modern. You understand? So that was basically what
So the concerns by the government, do you think they are justifiable? They have cited that your structures, your buildings were not approved. They have cited illegal or criminal hideouts in those areas. They have cited illegal dredging and all of that? Because I understand it's a coastal line.
No, none of those activities cited there are happening in our area. Oworonshoki is big. None of them.
No hideout there.
We were the one closer to the bus stop. Oworonshoki Beggar bus stop. Oworonshoki Beggar.
Just to confirm for us, because are you part of those who decided to block the third mainland bridge?
No.
So who were those? I mean, because you are affected.
No. Yeah, we were affected, but we were doing things legally.
Right. I'm heading somewhere because there are reports of the police. There was reports of police brutality. I understand tear gas were used, and so I wanted to confirm. But since you say you're not,
no.
What
actually happened was that very day I was with the chairman. We were at Koshofe local government. We were trying to see, because the address was from Koshofe, and we tried to see the Koshofe chairman, Honorable Moyo Oshere Ogunlewe. He said he has nothing to do. He knows nothing about it. So we went to the last guard, and they were telling us that they were not fully aware of this, that what they want us to do is to do our documentation.
So they are not aware about the demolition. That's what I'm saying.
In closing, who ordered the demolition? Who do you suspect ordered the demolition?
It's a land robbery.
Land
robbers.
Land grabbers.
Grabbers, I mean.
Okay.
So that are the ones that because that very day, sorry bro, that very day, they came with policemen. Their vehicle has no plate numbers.
Okay.
No address.
Because of time.
From any division.
I think you have mainstream your issues. You've the people that blocked the third mainland. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying I'm not saying no. Okay. Mr. I'm not accusing you of blocking, but there was a blocking.
Yes.
Sure. And we know what that means to the economy of the state.
Sure.
So I think the statement is loud and clear, and government has heard you, which is why we invited you, so that at least government will hear you from here, and there will be a resolution one way or the other. But almost thank you both. Femi Balewa, Oworonshoki resident, and Balogu Jamiu is a CDA chairman. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
And we will take just a very short break. We'll be back and speak to Mr. Adewale, which you understand we can talk to him in just a few moments. And that's the DAPMAN Executive Secretary. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's see whether we can catch Mr. Adewale. Mr. Adewale is the Executive Secretary of DAPMAN. Mr. Adewale, thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Finally, you know the way we say it in Nigeria, the devil is a liar. You have to speak today. Anyway, that's just an aside. But we try to establish what really played out and what this means. So help us make sense of how things got to where they got to and what the future of unionization as far as the downstream sector is concerned for better stability.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and good morning to Nigerians. We got here because the management of Dangote refinery refused to allow union activities within its operations. ILO and the Nigerian Constitution allows workers to unionize freely without interference, and it's not compulsory too. So with the unions, established unions, they approached the management of Dangote refinery to bring in the workers into the union. That's NUPENG and PTD. But unfortunately, as at that time, Dangote refinery management refused. And I mean, the workers made overtures to the management of Dangote refinery several times. But for the fact that they did not get positive feedback, so they had to take the step that they took. But so good as it is that Dangote refinery has acceded to their request and obliged them. But the issue is not fully resolved as it concerns the operations of the downstream sector. We depot owners, we have issues with Dangote refinery. For instance, we are still, up till now, not getting vessel coastal allocations from Dangote refinery. We have it on record, and this can be verified. We still supply, on the average, about 68% of the product into the country. We import these cargoes, not because we want to just import, but because we are not getting the attention, the sales volumes we want from Dangote refinery. Right now, you may say Dangote has enough stock to go around, but if Dangote refinery does not sell to depot owners, there's no way for us to remain in business, we have to source our product from outside. So we go outside and import. For instance, take the figures for June and May and June. About 1.7 billion liters of PMS was supplied into the country in May. Dangote refinery did just about 24%. In June, about 1.4 billion liters was supplied into the system. Dangote refinery did just about 30%. The volume that is being supplied into the country is done largely by DAPMA members and other depots. I mean, you have a few other depots, but largely we have our own figures. That this is supplied by DAPMA members. Now, what we are saying is, let's have a framework where DAPMA members can approach Dangote and buy product, and Dangote will feel comfortable to sell to us and will feel comfortable to buy from Dangote. A situation in which Dangote sells to international traders at 65 naira lower than what he's selling to us is not fair. Dangote sells to us at the gantry at 46 naira higher than what he's selling in his own gantry. So how do we stay in business?
All right.
We want to buy from Dangote. Dangote is the pride of the nation. Dangote is the pride of Nigeria. We want to buy from Dangote. We would rather buy from Dangote refinery than source the product from outside. But if Dangote refinery is not giving us the product, we definitely have to stay in business and we'll source the product to make Nigerians have this product as and when they need and at the best price possible.
Mr. Adewale, it's interesting some of the revelations you're making. I mean, because this tells perhaps why we have gone through this lane for many, many years. You know, perhaps it tells of the sort of, I'm not sure if I can use the word, the cabal, the corruption that plays on in the oil and gas sector. But I'd like to take you up on one of the resolutions reached at that meeting last night. It says that the process of unionization shall commence immediately and be completed within 2 weeks. That's September 9 to 22nd. I'm just wondering, is that not a concern for you?
It's not a concern because the unions are organized enough to reach out to the members who have interest in joining them. And I can tell you, there is no member of staff in the oil and gas that would not want to join the union. Why? The union takes care of their welfare. They have what they call collective bargaining, which is done, every 2 years. This is a system which allows workers, the unions, to talk to management, review staff salaries, review their allowances. There is no worker that would not want to be able to join a union that would do that for them. You as a staff alone cannot go and face your management and ask for a salary review, but the union would do that for you. So it's something that could be achieved. Those who set the timelines know that it is achievable, and that is why it's been set, so that everybody is kept on their toes to comply.
But I know that based on some of the events that have played out, I am not sure all of the members, all of the workers would want to belong to that union. Especially for some of them, there will be some concerns, fear and all of that. Some may be concerned about alleged victimization and all of that. So for those who decide not to join, do you think that they'll be victimized? Because I'm using that word because it's also reflected on your resolution pack.
The fear is that they might be victimized, but the good thing is that the resolution, the communique, also asked the union to come back to the minister, to the Ministry of Labor, if they are victimized. So it's the union that will have to be on its toes to invite the workers to come and join them, and at the same time, be on the lookout and check if anybody is being victimized. And mind you, victimization is not only by sacking them. You could make them idle. You can refuse to review their salaries. You can refuse to give them a good appraisal. Those are many ways of victimizing staff, but the union has to be on its toes to monitor that and ensure that that is not done to the workers.
All right, Mr. Adewale. So let's broaden the conversation just beyond this resolution as far as this particular matter is concerned. I do not think the Nigerians want as many competitors in the space as possible, because that will naturally bring down price for those of us who are just consumers, who are not players in the space. But talk to us about the future of depots as far as the oil and gas downstream sector is concerned. In fact, as a matter of fact, when the refinery kicked off, I know that certain persons were saying, all of them, everybody who is having all of these tanks is just going to be a tourist site in the future, because this is taking you guys out of business. Is there a future for depots as far as the oil downstream sector is concerned?
The depots came up as a result of the PPPRA Act, which was to ensure that Nigerians get adequate fuel. You know, in times past, we've had perennial fuel scarcity. So the depots came up at that time. Investors came into that segment, and many of these investors have gone ahead to participate in retail outlet functions. You have DAPMA members who have up to 300, 200, 180, 150 petrol stations spread all over this country. So there will always be depot, and there will always be the retail station. The issue is, let everybody play his part transparently within the framework of the deregulated segment, but with rules and regulations being enforced, so that Nigerians can get the best value for the fuel they require. We, DAPMA, we want to ensure that Nigerians get the fuel at the best price. The depot operations is not in isolation. It's for the refineries to refine, then give it to the depot. For instance, for somebody who is in Yola, it's easier to supply the person through a depot that is going through Calabar. You can, faster than the person who is in Lagos. We take our product by vessel. We are asking Dangote Refinery, give us product in vessel. And the irony is that, the unfortunate thing, a point I must note here is that even when Dangote Refinery gives us the product in vessel, they would insist that we must take 25% of such cargoes through their gantry. You cannot load all the stations in Nigeria from Lekki Refinery. It is not feasible. Imagine the traffic that used to be at Ejibo Depot when that depot was functioning. Now translate, look at the humongous volume that is supposed to be loaded. Dangote Refinery is estimated to be able to load 2,900 trucks per day. Imagine 2,900 trucks loading from Dangote and leaving Lekki to go to all parts of the country. The wear and tear on the road. We are saying, let's do our part. We receive our cargoes by vessel, give it to us at a good price, so that we receive our cargoes by vessel in our various depots. We have depots in Ijegun, we have in Ibarafo, we have in Calabar, we have in Port Harcourt, we have in Warri, we have in Saple, we have in Ife-Ekporo, all over the country. DAPMA members have these depots scattered all over. We want to be able to give the product. We have over 1,600 stations nationwide. We can't load to our own stations only from Dangote Refinery.
All right, Mr. Adewale, yes. I think your point is, yes.
In the southwest.
Your point, yes.
There's no problem about that.
Yeah.
But even at that, they may want to plan their product and their schedule from their own depot. So,
all right, Mr. Adewale, I think you made your point. You made your point quite strongly, and I think it's a good place and a fine place to leave it. As far as this sector is concerned, I'm sure there's going to be continuous refining to ensure that everybody survives, because, as I said, it looks like a game of survival. But for us who are consumers, it's good the battle is good, so that if prices come down, but everybody who is on the table should also be having a piece of the pie, one way or the other. Almost thank you so much, and for your patience as well. Thank you so much, Ms. Adewale, for coming on the program. Femi Adewale is the Executive Secretary of DAPMA. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we're not taking any break. We come straight to the lady in the room. Cecilia, you broke our heart. By the way, Cecilia is our sports anchor and correspondent. Cecilia, what happened? Now we are now subjected to prayers, fasting, looking up to God, and becoming mathematicians.
Yeah, the calculations.
As usual.
Why?
As usual.
Why?
It's not
How
usual.
did we get
The calculators
here?
have been thrown away.
What
because
in
no
the
matter how you
world?
calculate it, it's like, you know, we said the other time that it was very easy. Win your 4 games.
No, you said it was very easy. I didn't say that.
Win your 4 games, and then you're good to go. I mean, you have a chance of course, qualifying. But right now, you no longer have the destiny in your hands. So even if you win your remaining 2 games, it's going to be hard because, I mean, you're having Rwanda winning, Rwanda beating Zimbabwe by lone goal, and Benin Republic beating Lesotho that we could not defeat. Once then 4 goes to nothing. So then you now look at the table. You have South Africa 17.
Don't remind me of that
table.
table.
You've got Benin Republic 14. Then you have Nigeria, you know,
11.
on 11 points, followed by Rwanda also on 11 points. And then the good thing is we played Rwanda both home and away. So we still need to play Benin and Lesotho. So these 2 teams, you know, Benin is above Nigeria.
Benin
so,
that
right,
has our former coach, Gennett Roy, who we sacked.
So now the situation is so dicey that you don't have the destiny in your hands anymore. So you're winning your games and also praying for others to actually drop a point. So the possibility of you having a South Africa dropping points against, you know, Benin or Lesotho is hard because it's okay. The situation is very hard, really.
Yeah, so I'm just going to ask, what happened in the game yesterday? We have
exactly.
all the stars. There's Victor Osimhen, there's Tolu Arokodare. Okay, was injured.
Tolu came in much later on in the game. We thought he could have started.
There's Samuel Chukwueze, Fulham.
Chukwueze came on as a sub too.
So, but we have an array of stars who play their football outside of this continent.
It's okay. You've got the stars, right? But you know, these days stars don't play football. Kosovo beat Sweden by 2 goals to nothing in the European World Cup qualifiers.
With Alexander Isak there?
Yeah, he came on as a sub. It was his first game since he signed for Liverpool. And of course, you have the Arsenal big boy, the big man, also there. I mean, you've got Elanga also there too. So the Arsenal big man, Victor. Yeah, so he started the game, so they were the one top strike. They couldn't score. So, you know, football, you don't, Kosovo, how many players do you know that are playing Kosovo? That, you know, they're top players. So,
was it the formation?
It's highly competition. It's hard to actually put this together. Now, it's like maybe the formation he started. I felt that with the way Cyril Dessers played, you know, he came in as a sub for Victor Osimhen, and he was also sub of. And then you started that same guy in a game against South Africa. And we've seen the pitch. You saw them train on that pitch that was bumpy. I mean, it was a rugby. They played. This was more like a rugby field. We could see the lines and there. You know. You've seen the pitch, right? I mean, you know your star players. So there are players, I feel, that can't play in pitches like that. We know how Tolu Arokodare, how he's more like a bully, so to speak. I mean, he's one of those. He's got his presence. He's got the, you know, the strength. He's got the energy. He's got everything. We saw how lackadaisical he was. Cyril Dessers. I'm not trying to trying to slap on any players because I don't like doing that. But he wasn't himself when he played, you know, the game against Rwanda. You saw that, and you started that. You left him on the pitch. I thought maybe second half is going to, like what he did the last time, you know, take him out and bring Arokodare. He didn't do that till almost the final moment. I felt maybe if he had started Arokodare in that game, maybe he would have had a better chance of scoring.
Cecilia, before I let you go, because director is in our ears, so to chase us out of here. But he doesn't know we're angry.
Yes. Doesn't know that Nigerians are angry.
So I think I also blame the NFF on this one and CAF. On one hand, these boys barely played on Saturday. On Sunday, they jetted out.
They're not the only ones. That's how other people play.
South Africa already had that. And they played Lesotho. Just their neighborhood. They had time to rest. They took us to Bloemfontein. That higher altitude. That terrible pitch with all their facilities. So does NFF need to learn the politics? There's the politics of this game. We cannot rule it out.
Maybe what NFF should have done would have visited the stadium first, check the facilities the boys want to play in,
schedule the match a bit more time. Maybe they would have played the match today.
This is the FIFA window. This is the time that was fixed. It was supposed to be today. What they would have done, I will agree with you. What I will agree with you on this one is simply because if and only if they themselves had, you know, inspected that facility and tell CAF, you know what, we cannot play, our boys will get injured. And check what happened to Ndidi. Check what happened to Olaino. I mean, the injuries were just piling up. And the substitutions that were made at first were because of injuries. So it wasn't really fair. I know
that we have to, I know that we literally have to force you to come here. Because you're angry. Just like all of us are angry. But I feel the NFF should get their games together in terms of the politics. We should have been playing that game today.
That's what you
so
think?
yes,
but
no,
we have no business using that stadium to play, you know, a cup.
Not in that stadium.
World Cup
I don't know why we even approved that kind of stadium. With all the beautiful stadium
it's possible when it was approved. It wasn't, the pitch wasn't like that.
Or they went to dig it out before we came.
You know, when you play rugby in a football field, you know what happened.
Okay. Anyway, Cecilia, now our destiny is in the hands of God.
Are you sure?
I don't know what to say. Cecilia Moro, our sports anchor and correspondent, she's ending the show with us. Let her end like this. We're not leaving you, so we're all going to end on one camera. Okay. Thank you, Cecilia, for coming on the program. Let's hope for the best. Our calculators are out. That's it on the program. Thanks for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
I am Kelly Egiga. Thank you indeed for staying with us this morning.
Bye-bye.